It feels good to be back to a normal ass freaking routine. I'm currently working on a more personal note, trying to not sit on my phone and watch things that are completely mindless. So if I am going to watch something, I want it to be like a real show. I want it to be something where it's like some story. Like it's not just this. Because there's a difference in like looking at your phone and like you're looking at like a cat picture on Instagram, because that's like I like to think that that's level 1 entertainment, because this is a cute cat doing something funny. I'm going to post it because people will like it. It's very direct. And then, it gets crazy enough to things where it's like, this is a post that is meant to drive engagement because it triggers like a response to make people want to comment and like watch more. Like that sucks. That's like hive mind. Ugh. So I'm trying to separate myself from anything like that, at least as much as I personally can. So currently, anytime I'm sitting around chilling, I've been watching The 3 Body Problem, which I did not have spoiled at all. And I'm not asking for spoilers in the comment section either. But no, that's pretty good. Very different than the 1 Body Problem that I'm dealing with, where I gotta freaking hit my cardio and like make sure I track all my calories and everything else like that. But plan for today in terms of hitting some back, which I feel like I've been hitting a lot of back, but it's just this has been kind of a funky week, so this is going to be my starting to be on track, because I don't think chest is necessary today. I want to give my chest a little bit more time from the last chest I hit with Jack, where I can probably still feel a little bit of tender soreness. Not a ton, but just, maybe I'm almost like predicting that I will. I don't know, something like that is making me say, let's do back today instead. And it's not skipping chest, it's simply swapping their places. So let's say you have a leg day planned, the next day is going to be arm day, and maybe you didn't get the best sleep ever, you're not like super awesome recovered, and or I don't know, let's say even a more real world example, let's say you like really smacked your kind of patella tendon of your knee, or your knee itself, your kneecap itself, on like a corner of a table or something, and like you really hit like there's a bump, like you hit the shit out of it. That might be cause for me to say, let's do legs tomorrow, let's give it a day, in unforeseen circumstance. But if you ever do kind of rearrange your routine or your plan like that, at least make sure that you have a reason. Don't just do it because I don't want to do legs today, I'm going to switch it for something else. That's just not that's not good, right? But if you have a real reason, then it's all right. Like you probably would say, dude, that guy didn't leave, he didn't put his grocery cart back, what the fuck, or it's like, maybe not that, I don't know how passionate you are about that, but it's at least like, come on, man, like, we know that's not cool. What if he just got a text that his wife was in labor and he's got to get across town in 3 minutes or he's going to miss it? Are you going to be upset he didn't put his cart away then? So it's sometimes 2 actions can be very different, or one action can be very different if the reason behind it has 2 different meanings. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that context apparent in your mind. But no, so plan for back, headed to Metro, and I forget, everybody's in school right now, so it's probably going to be freaking dead. So if I want a more jumping gym, I might need to go a little bit later in the day, maybe a little bit night themed. But either way, more of a noon lift for now. So I'm definitely gonna, well actually now, I'm really just hitting everything as balanced as I can. I'm not gonna need to do a lat only back day to try to leverage growth in my lats. They're not growing right now. They're just maintaining the size that they already have. So what I really just want to make sure is I do probably a pretty balanced amount of lat work, mid-back work, a little bit of trap work, that all that fancy kind of teres major stuff right behind your rear delt before it goes into your traps. Like the shape is like kind of a diamondy looking shape as your traps, some extra funky kind of stuff going on. There's like your teres major and your rhomboids or whatever, and then your rear delt. And those little detailed muscles up top, like when I do a wide grip flared elbow row and it's very like mid-back trappy, That's what kind of gets me going in there. You know, and I want to make sure that they maintain their development, because the leaner I get, the cooler that those will look, you know. And it's always just a good back and forth between, you know, really just digging out the separations of every part of your back. But what I've been focusing on, at least in the last few months of the off season, was much more lat specific work. Like I want my lats to widen up. Honestly, in terms of thickness, at least for me, it's at least in proportion to everything else, my thickness is fine. Like I really want to be able to hit a front lat spread and have my lats fill the gap between my arm, and in like a double bi, have them branch out even like beyond where my tricep inserts, you know. And any like really competitive bodybuilder guys who have reached that level of development, like they get that extra width factor. And the fact that it's going to take a while, you know, and it's not just something I can instantly like develop over just a few months or even a year, that's fine with me, right? I do not mind the fact that it's a bit of a long game. So it's more so those are just the things that I want to aim towards working for, and as long as I'm on track doing so, then I'm pretty good. But I think nothing else to say. Let's just go get in there and get started. So I'm cheating a little because this stack is only 250 pounds. The other stack is 300. So this is more like a Planet Fitness weight, but this is gonna be a good starter. The neutral grip, you know, slightly shoulder than the width handle, is, let's say it's grown on me over the course of time. So I can really feel like I'm tucking my arms into my lats instead of just like, you know, pulling in a general sense. But this will be controlled. Yeah. 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 Oh. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's do a row now. I think pull down row will be a very good setup going forward, at least for today. This is a good neutral grip row. Ooh, one more. Ooh. Okay. All right. Actually, I think now it's a good time for a pull over, not a pull down. Let's go grab a cable. A little more pumpish style here. 5 on the left, 5 on the right. Good, at least momentary squeeze at the bottom, and then just repeat until I can't really do anymore. Oh, shit. One more. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Ooh. I think I'm actually getting close to the end. I don't know. There's still, I mean, I got room. Let's pick something new. Same style. 5 reps, 5 reps, 5 reps. But instead of a pullover, bent over cable rows. Which personally, I like much more the bent over dumbbell rows. A little more upper back focused. But that's just my preference. All right, come on. I can't use straps for this. A little form activation won't kill me. Oh, yeah. So. Yeah. 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 Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's finish with something a little lighter, squeezing. Ooh. So I think a good, just basic ass set of pull movements. A little faster. Will be a perfect ender. Come on.
You did something. Yeah.
All right. Sit. Yeah. Two. Oh. Yeah. Two. Yeah. Sit. Oh, oh my gosh. Oh. Let's go pull it. There we go. So, feeling rather lean. I mean, I'm barely even dieted. Like, this is all just from not chowing down on like a wild amount of food. And honestly, even just having this much kind of forearm separation, like, yeah, that's what I mean. Every time I do this reverse wrist curls, but like just a 20, this is the stuff I'm talking about, just because of all the fancy, like, you know, in and out things on the back of your forearm. You know, it's like how you got when you eat a flat chicken wing and you're taking a bite off of both sides of the bones. One side's the strong side down here, this big ass bite, but there's also all of this other stuff on top, okay? Not to be freaking neglected. But let's turn around and see how we're looking for the back. Which, you know, Would make sense. Oh shit. Hey. Yeah, we're getting on track to something. All right. Very good. So definitely a more chill day. Nothing insane. And that's kind of how the lifts are going to become. You know, obviously, I'll have a slightly carved up day sometimes. More food, more whatever. But for the most part, I'm more concerned. There we go. Right in that moment, I get in focus. But just keeping size, you know, not getting too soft or anything, or not getting too flat, rather. And then just staying as full as I can get. There we go. Boy. All right, I'm getting close to filling in those arm gaps. Oh, yes. All right. And with that, that's it. Back is freaking complete. Let's go freaking eat something, man. I'm tired. All right. Yeah, very nice. Very freaking nice. So I am in stage 1 of dieting. I'm in phase 1. I'm in level 1. I am in the first, I don't know, the first act. How about that? That's kind of a fancier way to put it. And what I mean by that is right now I'm not considerably leaner than I was 3 weeks ago. Really, I'm actually just smaller while being the same level of lean, which almost makes me look like I'm less lean just from not having that fullness and, you know, kind of just, you know, carved upness of the muscle underneath. And it's almost like that's the first trap in a dungeon, or that's the first difficult part of an adventure. You know, it's meant to throw you off. It's meant to discourage anyone from venturing forward, because it really is kind of just a mental trap, right? You're putting all this work into dieting. At least, you know, if it's hard for you to limit your calories, it's really feeling hard, even though right in the beginning. And you don't actually see any, if anything, you actually start to look a little worse, at least for, like, you know, a 2-week phase, because all you're doing is now shrinking down a little bit from not being full of carbs, but you're not really burning much body fat yet, because you've still got a lot of, you know, the whole point of flattening out or feeling flat is the idea that your body used up a lot of that internal, you know, muscle glycogen, muscle sugar and shit as energy. So it's using that instead of your body fat. Once, at least how I look at it, which, you know, keeps me, it gives me a pretty good grasp of how to get leaner, is I need to keep my internal glycogen stores low, so that when my body has to run on energy to stay alive, you know, and recover from all this training, it's going to have to look inward to body fat as a source of that energy, because it's not coming from the food I'm eating, because I'm not eating a ton of food, right? So first you got to get a little flat, and then you start burning fat, you know. And I'm a lot of, like, I don't understand the need to try to overcomplicate and over-explain every tiny detail of, like, a fat burning process. As complicated as you could make it, it's as simple as your body burns this much energy a day, including your training, including your cardio, and depending on how fidgety you are, whatever, it's this number. Let's keep it simple. Let's say your body burns 2,500 calories a day on average. You work out 5 times a week. You do cardio 2 times a week. Should be 5, but whatever. Let's say it's two 30-minute phases. That's what you do. So on average for that entire week, your body needs 2,500 calories to stay, you know, alive at that weight. You're burning 25, you're eating 25. Right? There's a bit of variation, you know, maybe you slept weird, maybe whatever, but for the most part, that's about it, right? So would it not make sense that if you didn't change anything about how you moved around and how you were, like, going about your days, your body is still going to be burning that 2,500. So if you only feed it 2,200, right, would that not then give you a 300 calorie a day deficit? So where are you going to get those calories from, right? It's going to have to come from something inside your system. Let's say your carbs are pretty much just like depleted, so you've got a whole bunch of stored energy, right? Your body fat. So for the most part, it would look something along the lines of a 300 calories worth of body fat being burned a day, right? Now you could, guys would probably love to explain like, oh, well, you can, artificially improve your body fat burning by doing fasted cardio with caffeine or with whatever. I've never gone down that rabbit hole, and I'm not trying to negate its legitimacy, but for me, looking at it as simple as I've got to eat less than I burn, along with all my cardio, along with all my training, getting my sleep. Like I've been drinking way more water. You should always be drinking a ton of water, but I've been drinking more specifically just to keep my hydration on point, so that when I come into a workout and I'm not full of food, I'm still at least fully hydrated, which is going to make me feel better, But for me, at least, to look at it at least, I didn't mean to say at least twice, but for me to look at it basically, and not this super complex methodology, it just lets me wrap my head around it more and lets me focus on what I think is really important. My protein intake, it's going to be the same, 250 grams, primarily animal-based sources. I'm talking, whey protein. I've been trying some beef protein, where it's beef protein isolate, and it actually makes my stomach feel way better. Like I don't notice any stomach, it's kind of funky tasting, but what are you gonna do? Eggs, ground beef, tuna, sardines, whatever, like solid protein sources, and about a pound or a gram per every pound that I weigh. So I'm a 250 pounder, 250 grams of protein. Fats, I keep at probably about 40% of that. So I don't want to go over 100 grams of fats right now. It's just, there's no point. Really, I'd probably want to lower that even a bit more so I could eat more carbs, because those are kind of this is a bro sciencey way to put it, but sort of a quicker acting energy source. And it's going to, direct, and if I'm about to work out and I have 100 grams of fats in a meal, this is like an extreme scenario, or I had 200 grams of carbs, I will feel way more energized from that 200, right? And then carbs, I'm just gonna, either raise or lower. So right now, a good chunk of carbs, like 300. Actually, I'm not even sure. I'm kind of, it's fluctuating a bit now because I'm still getting into my groove of lowering my calories. But carbs are what are really gonna make or break my diet. My protein doesn't change, my fats don't really change. My carb intake just gradually decreases over these coming months. And like there's refeed day, there's a lot of nuance to it, but as simple as I could put it is make sure you're burning more energy than you're eating. And to those who want to get into it like that, I'll just don't freak, man, take it slow. I did not track every gram of everything when I started working out. The only calorie or the only macro that I used to track as a beginner was protein. I made sure I hit my protein, and that was it. And I just gradually added more to the system over time. And now I think I've got a pretty good grasp of it. I've gotten pretty lean before from everything that I know and trying to change things. I didn't have to have a coach tell me everything exactly what to do. So it's not like I would say, if I boiled it down and I wrote out the Sam Sulik method and I tried to explain every little detail of why I do things, and I couldn't guarantee it would work for everyone or that everyone would like it, but it works for me, and that's kind of what I'm most interested in, right? I want to be able to leverage my diet towards my goals, and I want to share that with you guys so that you can at least kind of get a grasp of some of the thoughts that go on. But the guys who really kill it, they're the ones who figure it out for themselves. They're not always trying to ask questions. It's more so they're trying to come up with their own answers and find out, are they right or are they wrong? So it's kind of a situation of no, that's not the right analogy. Well, either way, there's a lot to it, so don't try to take off every bite and try to learn everything about dieting all at once or think that you even have to. just ease into it. Same with training, you know. I didn't squat 4 plates day one. That took a while, you know. So it's kind of a longer term accrual of knowledge rather than like an instant understanding. And it's like an instant understanding isn't even possible, because at least you know, how I look at it is I can kind of justify my own mistakes by the fact that I do learn from them and adjust accordingly over time. You know, if somebody says, it's like, you know, what's the one thing you wish you could change about anything? I mean, I wish I didn't pull all sorts of muscles by lifting too, like, in a bad way. But if I never pulled them, then I would never learn not to pull them. So it's like time travel paradox, you know. So just try to look at it as a learning experience. But now I'm really rambling. I'm losing my train of freaking thought. I would imagine that my blood sugar is slightly lower than my regular day's average, just because that was a good lift and I didn't have a ton of food so far today. So I'm gonna go eat something, regroup, eat something again, play with the dog, and go to sleep. Very good ender for today. So nothing else to say. We'll see you tomorrow.